Hi, this is Ro, and welcome to day 3 of Crafts on the Go. Today we're going to take a small peek into my world of Gnome Haven. So come on, whoops, let's see what's going on. Let's get started. Hello. Today we're going to be doing gnomes. We're going to need yarn, any color that you want. Today we're going to be using black. You'll need white yarn for the beard. You'll need some fabric, any kind of that you would like. You'll need a pom-pom and a little wooden nose. It could be a bead. It could be just about anything round. So let's get started. Oh, I missed the camera. I am going to use a 2 3/8 pom-pom for this particular gnome. And it's going to be larger than the gnome that we showed in the intro. I'm going to use, for the base of my gnome, I am going to use black. And the reason why I chose this color is because of the fabric I have chosen out. So let's go ahead and start wrapping. Okay, now that I've got it even, we're going to close that in and cut that. And we'll do the same on this side. Okay. And then we're going to close that in and cut that. Now we're going to go ahead and cut our pom-pom. So remember, when you cut something this big, that you want to ensure that you cut all the threads going all the way through. You get your string, and you want about 8 inches, so you have about 16 inches total. And we're going to pull it all the way through, like that. And we're going to pull it through, and we're going to tie on one side. Pull it tight, go on the other side, pull tight again. And you're going to pull tight again. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Now we have our big fluffy pom-pom. And we're going to cut the ends off. So we have the base of our gnome, and I pretty much want him to sit flat. We don't really need to cut him. And so we're going to cut him a little bit at an angle. So this is going to be his head. All right, now you have the base of your gnome. Okay. The next step is to make the beard. And what I have cut out is a 9 by 12 millimeter rectangle. And I'm going to wrap the yarn around like as if I was going to make doll hair. So now that you have it wrapped all the way across, you want to clip right here, and you're going to string your yarn underneath. You could do it with a needle, or you can just push it through with your finger. You're not going to really tie it together. You're just going to have a piece of yarn go straight across, and you're going to tie it lightly. Now, if I was at home, I would have taken this, I would have automatically pulled it off and put my sewing machine through it, and then put my sewing machine a couple times right here through the middle, and then sewn the pieces together. But since I'm not at home, we're going to go ahead and hand stitch this. The yarn in the middle is going to serve as a base. You can put the yarn all the way across on both sides, but going on one layer is good enough. If you're going to do this on your sewing machine, I would recommend to do a zigzag. If you're going to do it hand, I recommend to have a lot of patience. Go through your knot and pull your thread through. And what you're going to do is sew as if you were sewing on a sewing machine. So you're just going to go in and out, kind of like a slip stitch, for your first go around. Right? Coming back around, you want to grab those other yarn, so you're grabbing it all into one, so you don't have any loose yarn. So now you've grabbed that yarn, flip it around if you need to, and then do it again. Okay, so the concept here is to grab the yarns in your thread as if you were with a sewing machine. You're going to pull it through. And you're going to grab this other yarn, and you're going to turn this around, and you're going to pull it through. Now, if you see that you didn't grab another yarn on the bottom, just go ahead and put your needle through it. We're going to end up flipping this around and doing it again. But just follow your initial yarn that you have in here. Now you're going to see that the yarn is starting to stick together, and that's what you want. If you do more than one of these, you'll get used to it. And it goes quite quickly. So, and then you'll see you caught some, and if you're on the back, you can go in the back and do the same. You do that again. And you're going to turn around one more time. And you're going to grab this one more time. And then you're going to end your stitch probably over here. And do it one more time. It looks like I didn't leave myself enough. So if you do that, that's okay. You can pull this out and then we can get a piece of hot glue. Or dab a piece of hot glue on that thread. Because I don't want that thread to go anywhere. All right, now that is pretty secure. Okay. This will end up being the beard and the hair. And we're going to cut this through. You're going to take the eye of your needle, or this time you can take the tip of your needle. When you separate your yarn with the tip of your needle, it's going to tend to be a little bit more fuzzy because you're going to grab the fibers of the yarn and it's going to shred it more. So it's going to be up to you the type of the look that you want. And we're going to separate the yarn. So see you back in a couple minutes. Now that you have something close to a Sammy Hagar wig, you want to go ahead and position it on your gnome and figure out which way you want it to go and how you want it to look. So I'm thinking that it's going to go a little bit forward here, and the hat's going to go a little bit down, so I'm not too worried about that. And so right here where the cap is right here, I'm going to put a big blob of glue because I want this guy to hold in. And again, I want to make sure it's exactly where I want it. So I wanted to see where I want it again. Right here. Now that we have the hair on the gnome, we want to measure out the diameter of the head. And it looks like we have about let's get that in here. Looks like we have about 8 3/4 inches. Now that we have about 8 3/4 inches, we need half of that for the diameter. If you're not really good in math or you don't want to spend the time, if you have this type of measuring tape, just go ahead and put your 1 inch mark right here for the 8 3/4, so you don't have to do it. Save yourself some time. Fold it in half, and then you'll see the 8 3/4 ends up to be 1 2 3/8, so 4 3/8, and that's where it is. And so we're going to go ahead and measure out our fabric. This is the fabric that I chose. It's a really neat looking fabric, so I thought it would be a great looking fabric. So since we have the selvage here, we're going to cut off the selvage. So what you're looking at is if you have 4 3/8, right? So you have your 8 3/4. Let's do this again, just to remind everyone. So you have your 8 3/4, and you cut it in half, and there's your 4 3/8 here. You have your 4 3/8. We have to accommodate. We have to account for a 1/4 inch seam. All right. So your 1/4 inch seam is here. This is a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to add a 1/4 inch. And so I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. So you have 4, and that's what we want. Now, what's tricky on here, and I might go out of frame, is you want to figure out how you want your hat to be at what angle. So if you want it to go to be a straight, if you want it to go longer, well, you'll have to figure that out. Since we're on travel and we're in a hotel room, I don't have everything that I have. I don't have my cutting mats with my little cutting marks or my right angles or anything. So I'm going to use a piece of cardboard. And so I'm going to go from this very angle, not of my fabric. I am going to go from the angle of the corner of not the selvage, but from where the actual design starts. And I'm going to push it up just a little bit. And I'm going to use a pencil. Actually, going the wrong way. See? We need to go up this way. We're going to have this go up this way. We want this fold to be in our hat, so we're going to go up this way. And we're going to take our scissors, and we're just going to cut that. Seems like a really big hat for a real small gnome. You can make your hat smaller, but I like making my gnomes a little bit whimsical. And what you're going to do is go to the selvage, and you're just going to cut that off. Okay. I also have some double stick tape, and I am going to make my 1/4 inch seam here. This is just a lazy way of me doing things. It just makes it a little bit faster for me. And that way my seam is not showing on the outside of the gnome. So I take the tape, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to cut it. Not with my good scissors, I'm not. I'm going to cut it. And put it on the short end. And cut it here and put it on the short end. And then we're going to fold this over like so. Now, because there's not a lot of weight going on to the short end here, that double stick tape will work out wonderful. Okay. And then we will cut off the ends. All right. From here, we will hand sew this. I'm going to do a quick sew on it. I am going to start from the tip. And I'm going to do it really quick. So, if I were at home, I'd be doing this on my sewing machine. And you want to give yourself a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so here's my really quick and dirty stitch. I didn't take very much care in it. No one's going to see it. If I was going to sell this gnome, I would have done it all on my sewing machine, but this is something that I am going to keep in my home with the rest of my gnome collection. So let's go ahead and put this down. And you want to put this inside out like so. We're going to go ahead and put him on his little head. There we go. What I'm going to do is tack the back of his with a pretty good substantial amount of glue. And we're going to hold that there for a little bit. Put glue around the sides. This is what I do with my normal gnomes. I like to add the glue to the fabric, because the fabric will direct the glue where to go. And this is where you want to see. So I have a nice long hat on him. And I think that I want his hat to be twisted. And probably stuck to the front. Maybe like so. Okay. So I'm going to put a little dot of glue right here on his hat. All right. Okay. Before I put his little ball on, I want to get his nose on. So I think I see a long piece of yarn right here. I'm going to cut it off like that. I'll put a little piece of glue here. Keep that in. Keep a piece of glue in here. Keep that in. All right. Okay. And then I'm going to put his nose about right here. All right. It's up to you where you want to put his nose, but I think I want his nose a little bit under the hat. Like that. I was thinking about putting a nice green ball on him right there in the middle. I think I'll do that. So we're gonna put this green ball right here in the middle. And Put his nose right there. I'm going to stick a little bit of glue on the top of his nose. Like that. And I'm going to stick this underneath. Pull it off. And there we go. And now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and notifications. If there's anything you'd like me to make out of pom-poms, please let me know and I'll see if I can do it. Bye!